What's going on? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of A Happy Fucking Life. It's Rhonda, and we are back at it again. I took last week off, but we are back at it, and I'm so happy to be here. Today is Wednesday, July 14th, 2021. I love mentioning the date, so that whenever anybody goes back to listen, can kind of think about the things that are going on right now, So anyways, like I said, I missed last week, but I'm back, and thank you so much for tapping in and listening wherever you are, watching wherever you are, if you're at home, work, at the gym, if you're taking a drive, whatever it is. I appreciate you being here. This is the 4th episode, so I took last week off because I wanted to figure out the format. As much as I love podcasts, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do. Like, podcasts are like legit my thing. And I was thinking I wanted to have a format. So I took a week off. I was away with family, but then also I wanted to think about a format, like some things I wanted to talk about, give me a little bit more structure this time around, because on my last podcast on Rhonda's Rehab, I just kind of talked, I just kind of let myself flow. And I've been doing the same thing for the first 3 episodes here. But going forward, I do want to try structure and see how that works. So when we get through this episode, make sure you let me know what you think of the structure. All right. So, yeah. So, man, we dead smack in the middle of the year. It's middle of July and time is going. They say it waits for no man. And that is the absolute truth. I can't believe it. So the first segment that I'm going to actually get started with is called All the Feels. And this is where I'm going to give you an update on what I'm doing, what I'm working on, and absolutely the truth on how I'm feeling. I think it's very important, when you are being transparent. I never want to put on, I want to be honest, because even though I'm a person who has experienced an abundance of happiness, I also have a range of emotions, just as a regular human being would. And I don't want to mislead anybody to think that everything is always perfect. So I definitely want to check in on every episode to let you know how I'm feeling. All right. So what I've been up to lately, I've been up to, let's see. So for the last week I stepped away with my family for a couple days. Did like a staycation, which is pretty dope. It's nothing like, I actually went to a city I've never been to before. It's out in the valley of Gory Hills. So I got a chance to go check out a new city, try some new food, and just chill. I definitely worked while I was there. I think that the work never stops. There's always something to do. So I worked, but I rested. I've really been focused on rest. That is something that my spiritual advisor has been shoving that down my throat, and I have really taken heed to it. And I've been resting. I've been resting, relaxing, and vacationing ever since the end of May. And the vacationing has come to an end, but I'm still making it a point to make sure that I rest. I'm really conscious of that. I really have been in tune with my body and my mind and just slowing things down when I need to, and a part of that, and I'll talk to you guys about me struggling with consistency. A part of that is, I think a lot of my struggle with consistency felt like putting too much pressure on myself, thinking that I was going to post YouTube videos 7 days a week. And if you're not familiar, I do have a main channel, which is Rhonda's Red Sauce. And you can check that out if you haven't already. But, I started YouTube August 25th, 2019. And in my mind, I was going to do videos every day. But I didn't start off doing videos every day because I had a full-time job. So I couldn't manage it. But once I started doing the creative thing and entrepreneur thing full-time, I was like, all right, I'm ready to bang out, 7 videos, do a video a day. And I was putting that pressure on myself, and I never lived up to it. And I think a lot of that resulted in me not resting. I had a lot of sleepless nights and feeling overwhelmed because I had these expectations that I was never living up to. So now I'm a little more realistic, and I'm like, all right, cool, bet. I want to do videos 3 days a week over on my main channel. I want to do the podcast 1 day a week. That's just more realistic. That's just more my speed, because I always have things that I'm also working on. And if you don't know, I have a low sodium seasoning company that's called Good As Can Be. And just so y'all know, too, I will be restocked on the 15th, July 15th. So this Thursday, tomorrow, once you're watching or listening to this podcast, I'll be restocked. So, it's just always something going on. So it's like I had to be realistic, and being realistic with myself has resulted in me being able to rest, being able to slow things down. And, when things just don't go as planned, I try not to freak out. I try not to beat myself up. And that's been a huge help. That's really turned things around for me, So how I'm feeling, I'm feeling really on top of the world. That feels like the only way to describe it. Like, I don't know, like I have been feeling this like shift for like the next level of whatever is going to happen. I feel like it's coming very soon. So I'm preparing for that. I'm about to start a second theater class, playwright class. I did one previously, and I'm starting another one this weekend. So I feel on top of the world creatively because there's so much going on. And I remember for a long time feeling like Rhonda, you got too much going on. You got too many irons in the fire. Like, but it's like I can do all of these things, you know, and I'm not spreading myself too thin, and I feel very fulfilled. So that's another way that I'm feeling. I'm feeling very, very fulfilled. And it just feels like I'm, you know, I'm in my groove. You know, that's how I'm feeling. And that feels good. That feels really, really good to be doing things that I genuinely enjoy and look forward to doing. You know, it really feels like that I am in control of my life. That's what it feels like. And I think that that really boils down to stepping into your purpose. When you step into your purpose, I think that so many things start to step, you know, enter your pathway. That's for you, you know, things, whether you consider them or not, they start to show up and you become more open to it. You become more receptive and you start trying new things and you blossom, you learn. And that's what I'm learning. It's like I'm in a groove of things. You know, I never expected to have a seasoning company, but here we are, you know, and it's been a tedious and long process of starting a seasoning company. But I mean, ultimately, I couldn't imagine not having it. You know, I'm really excited about how good as can be. And it's still a brand new company. So I'm excited about where it is now and where it'll go, you know. So I'm excited, fulfilled, on top of the world, you know, just feeling really good. And a lot of that has to do with slowing down and resting and thinking and trying things to know if they work or not, so that I can take things off my plate. Sometimes things just don't work out, and I had to try it to know that, so that I know where to put my energy and stuff like that. So I'm in a good groove right now. That's where I am with all the feels. All right. So now this next segment that I'm about to move on to is called Best of the Best. Now this is a segment where I actually want to talk to you about and share some of the best advice I have ever received in my life, and just how it's affected me. You know, how it's added to my life. Added value to my life. So best of the best. Some of the best advice I have received has been from my mother. My mother told me that everybody is not your friend. And I remember she would always tell me, she would be like, how many fingers do you have, Rhonda? I'm like, I have 10. And she's like, well, you'll never have more than like 10 friends. And I'm like, what? So of course she's telling me this. I'm like, maybe middle school, maybe like 9th, 10th grade in high school. And I'm kind of like, what? You know, everybody was your friend then. You know, everybody you're running with, no matter how often you talk to them, no matter what class you had with them, no matter how often anything you guys interacted, that person, everybody you talked to was your friend. I called everybody my friend. So of course it didn't click then when I was, you know, 13, 14, 15 years old. You know, I felt like everybody I was friends with was going to be in my life forever. But of course, you know, I learned that lesson very, very fast once college started. You know, once high school was over, you know, the thing that we had in common was no longer there, which was school. And so I was on my own. You know, not that I didn't have any friends at all. It's just that, you know, people started fading into the background. So I was like, okay, this might be what my mom is talking about, you know. But then, of course, people have been shuffling in and out of my life, you know. And I think the turning point of everything, I don't think I really got the realization until in my 30s, honestly. When I realized that, like, when you say everybody isn't your friend, I think it's very important to give everybody the correct title. So some people definitely are your friends. Some are coworkers, some are associates, some are classmates, and so on and so on. So when I really took the time to give people the correct title, I think that changed things as well, you know, because I really understood that, like, if I call you an associate and that's truly what you're classified as, that means that I don't necessarily trust you with my business. You know, I don't want to confide in you, but we could definitely go out and hit the happy hour. Let's go to happy hour. Let's have some drinks. Let's go to karaoke, that kind of thing. I can keep you where I can keep you where you belong. And I think that that was a game changer for me, you know, realizing who was my friend, so that, you know, and even when you with your friends, you don't tell your every friend everything, right? So you know who to talk to about your relationship. You know who to talk about with business, or where you are creatively, or about finances, about spirituality, all these different things that make us who we are. And, you know, I think that I'm in a good place where I know who I want to talk to when certain things come up. So I've identified my friends. I know who my associates are. So I started calling my coworkers, put them in that bucket as well, because I was quick to call my coworkers friends. And I'm not saying that you can't have real friendships that blossom, you know, in the workplace, but for the most part, they're coworkers. This is my experience. For me, for the most part, everybody was coworkers. I had a couple of friends. I would say, like, maybe, let's see, I worked from the age of 14 to the age of 38 in corporate America. I would say I probably had about 3 or 4 friends, like real friends, over the course of that period of time. I would say that. I dare go out on a limb and say that people that I really had a genuine friendship with, that I could trust and talk to about certain things, Yeah, I would say it was a handful of people. That's a lot of time. But again, I was, of course, in the beginning, I was calling everybody my friend because we would go to lunch together. We was on the same team. We was on projects together. It was very easy to call people my friends. So yeah, once I started putting people where they belonged in the categories, that really shifted things for me so that I could just see things clear for what they were. And I know we live in a world where they say you can't have expectations on other people. But I think it's kind of impossible not to have expectations, right? And I'll give you a prime example because like when I'm with my friends, I mean, there's just the expectation. It's unspoken that like we're going to show up for each other. You know what I'm saying? That, I'm not going to steal your ideas. You're not going to steal my ideas. I'm not going to steal from you. I'm going to respect your relationship that you're in. Just different things that just kind of, I feel like just kind of go unspoken. It's the expectation that you're not going to do certain things. And of course, obviously, certain things still happen. Yes, betrayal does happen in friendships. But ultimately, what I'm saying, too, is that, when I really understood who people were in my life, I was able to manage the expectations a little bit better. Eased up the expectations on my associates. Coworkers damn near had no expectations. I don't think so. I don't think I really had any expectations on my coworkers like that. I had a couple expectations, a little bit lightweight for my associates. And then, there were some expectations on like old classmates and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was a game changer. That's some of the best advice is that everybody is not your friend and just really giving everybody the title that they truly have earned in your life. And I think that's like the key is that people earn the titles that they have in your life. You know what I'm saying? If somebody is showing up for you, being consistent, showing reciprocity, encouraging you, supporting you, pushing you, that sounds like a friend to me. You know what I'm saying? But if somebody only calls you when they need something or they only want to party with you, that sounds like an associate. If it's somebody you work with that y'all are cool, but y'all only work together, you know what I'm saying? I think that's a coworker. And an old classmate, usually people I went to middle school, high school with, we don't really talk on the phone. We don't really keep up with each other besides social media. And even on social media, that's pretty casual. So that's how I got to the classmate title for people who are in my life, right? So put people where they belong has been a game changer for me in my 30s. And alleviated a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. So shout out to Mom for that best piece of advice, that everybody ain't your friend. And that is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So, for some people out there, I know y'all, it may be time to evaluate some of your friendships. Some of them may have ran their course. You may be in the middle of a storm with a friend who may need to be downgraded to an associate. I think it's just really important for us to be honest with ourselves about that. But also, too, when you're going through turmoil with your friends, or if you are going through a friendship or a breakup in a friendship, that's not easy. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of grief and a lot of pain that is around losing a friend. So I understand how that can be hard, too, to really process and call it what it is and accept that friendship has come to an end. So, yeah, that's my segment on the best of the best. All right. So that's the advice segment. The best piece of advice I've ever received. And then lastly, I'm going to jump into the topic. But before I do, wherever you're listening from, whether it is Spotify, Google, or on Apple, thank you so much. But if you are on the Apple platform, if you can please take a minute to go ahead and give me a review. So when you click on, you got and some people I know may be watching on YouTube and you may have an Apple device. So here's how you would do it. So all Apple devices, if I'm not mistaken, I know the iPhone does for sure, comes with a purple icon and it says podcast. So if you click on that, and you type in A Happy Fucking Life in the search area, it should bring up this podcast. You're going to see an option where you can click 5 stars. So if you think it's a 5-star podcast, click 5 stars and it'll go ahead and submit the review for you. Or you can actually write a review. There is a box that will allow you to write your thoughts about this podcast, how you feel about it, what you think so far. So, and I will tell you, you actually taking a moment to give me a review actually helps get this podcast suggested to other people who may not have heard of it. You know what I'm saying? So that really is a huge help. All right. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And next thing is the topic today is that closure is a scam. I am a firm believer that straight up closure is a scam. I'm not saying that it's not ever needed. I just don't think that it's needed every time something comes to an end. And I want to say for myself is that I bought into the fact that closure was needed in every situation. And it's just not. You know what I'm saying? And Closure is something that is not limited to a romantic relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be even with an associate. If y'all fall out or whatever, and you may be at a place where you feel like you have questions and you want answers, right? So I think ultimately it depends on what took place, right? But let's just say you were betrayed by a friend. And if this friend betrayed you and several other people in your circle of friends or something like that, is it something that's forgivable? Is it something that is forgivable, Or are you at a place where the friendship has come to an end? So let's say you call it quits. You're like, I'm cool, I'm done, right? But then let's say you still have questions. You have unanswered questions. Why did you do what you did? Why did you include this? Why did you take this approach? Why did you feel the need to, do this at this particular time? Whatever your questions may be, I think when you realize that you may not get the explanation, you may not get the apology. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of us buy into the fact that you like, well, I want the truth. And it's like the truth has already been given to you. That person don't fuck with you like that. You know what I'm saying? The truth has already been given to you. And I think that sometimes we want the opportunity to see what else the person, what were their intentions? Their intentions were very clear that they don't fuck with you like that. And that's why they decided to move how they decided to move. And that was the result. The result was that they betrayed you. And, I think too is that sometimes for me, like, sitting around waiting for closure is just that, you sitting around. Sometimes you're sitting on your hands and you're holding back on certain things and you can't move forward and move into your forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you're sitting around waiting for somebody to apologize or waiting for somebody to really let you in on their thoughts on why they did what they did. And it's just like, man, like when I realized that, I've only been betrayed one time in my life. And that betrayal, I don't know. I think there were definitely moments when I wanted an apology. I wanted an apology. I wanted an explanation. I wanted to know why. But none of that mattered though. Because I really feel like that when the betrayal happened, there was so much time that the person who betrayed me could have backed out of what they were doing or wanted to do. You get what I'm saying? They could have stopped it, but they decided not to. They decided to do what was best for them. So I had to do what was best for me, which was move on with my life. You know what I'm saying? I had to move on with my life and realize that, I wasn't going to get closure. It was all a scam. This is the first time I really realized that closure is a scam. It's like this person showed me who they were. They showed me what I meant to them in their life. And I don't need closure. I don't need to sit and talk to you after your actions have, made it very clear where we stand. You get what I'm saying? And I'll tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not an arrogant person. Let me just say that. I'm not an arrogant person, but I'm a confident person. And one of the things I'm most confident about is being a good friend. I may fall short in a lot of areas of my life, but I am a really good friend. So when I was betrayed, I was hurt. I was devastated. It was a blow to my gut. You know what I'm saying? And of course, a part of me wanted to sit and talk and have closure, but this situation didn't really warrant that. It didn't warrant closure because this person told me everything I needed to know in their actions. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I feel like closure is a scam. I just feel like you don't need it every single time. Now, sometimes, yeah, you do. Sometimes I think you do. Sometimes you got to hash things out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like sometimes that somebody may do something to hurt you, but they did it because you hurt them first. You get what I'm saying? And maybe the two of you need to clear, some clarity is to clear the air on how you got to this place. And you guys can agree to disagree. Like, I respect you from a distance. We don't have to be friends. I don't want to get back in a relationship with you, but I have a better understanding of how, why you decided to do what you did because of what I did initially. You know what I'm saying? So I get that sometimes you may have to have a conversation in that regard, but I just don't think that closure is necessary. And sometimes people just want closure because you want to see the person again. You want to be around them. You want to see if they've changed their mind. You want to see if they're into you. You want to see if the sparks are still flying. And at the end of the day, like I said, people's actions will tell you everything you need to know. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when we want closure, we playing ourselves. You playing yourself. Like that person did you dirty. So it's like, I would never give you my time. I don't need closure. You know what I'm saying? And also too, I think that when closure is kind of like hanging around in the balance, it really keeps you from moving into like the forgiveness of it all, and releasing the situation. If you still have that door open, wanting closure, desiring closure, thinking about it, talking about it all the time, I really feel like it keeps you from releasing the situation and allowing you to move on with your life. I really, really believe that. So I really think that you got to really sit with the situation, assess if closure is truly needed. And if it is, see if you can get to a place where you and this person can communicate. Closure doesn't always have to be face to face. You can definitely talk over the phone. You can even exchange emails sometimes. I just feel like sometimes you don't always have to be face to face with closure. And sometimes ultimately realizing that you just don't need closure. It's just time for you to move on. You know, what's done is done. And it's time for you to move on to the next phase of your life. Go through the forgiveness. Forgive that person. They don't need an invitation back into your life. And, you know, release those feelings so you don't have to harbor that emotion and the hurt that came along with whatever happened. And also, and move on, you know, and think about the lessons that may have came along and out of that situation. So, yeah, that's how I feel. Closure is a scam. It is. That's how I see it. So that's it. That's this week's episode. Like I said, I'm really happy to be back. I can't wait to come back next week. Let me know what you think of the new format. It's brand new. Like I said, you know, just trying it out now. I'm always open to feedback or things changing, you know, very, very open to that. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Go ahead and meet me in the comments, and you already know that I will meet you there. I appreciate you. Y'all be good to yourself. Peace.